experience it. And that, as cosmic and crazy as this sounds, it all makes sense. Because each new civilization, when it restarts, all the high technology, all the ruins of the ancient civilization is buried. You can't find it unless you have the technology to really, really dig down. So it wipes the slate clean. You don't have a bunch of, oh, show me the pottery from Atlantis. Well, dude, if you dig down far enough, you'll find it, but it all got buried. That's the will of the Creator. This is a design that's used all over the universe. It buries the old civilization, so even if it was very advanced, the new people are not going to find it until they get the ability to drill down deeply and make mine shafts and go down and explore these cities. And as Corey had said, there's some 2,500 different cities underneath the surface of the earth, many of which were above ground at one time and are now buried. So that's how this works. And all this stuff I've only understood really in the last couple of years. We cannot speak of certainties, but are aware that the grosser or less dense materials, that's all the matter on Earth, will be pulled into conformation with the denser and lighter energies, which give your logos, that's the galactic cosmic sun, the sun itself is conscious, the dense materials will be pulled in with the lighter materials that give your sun its proceedings through the realms of experience. This is the really dodgy wording in the Law of One. That's why it's often been said, good luck trying to read the Law of One material. Well, for some reason, I got into it. You get into a vibe with it. I would sometimes spend 45 minutes with the pages open, never even turning the page. Now, this is really, really important, too, because they talk about how certain negative entities become negative enough that they can make it into 4D negative. Other entities are positive, and they graduate into 4D or the higher dimensions positive. Everybody else has to move to another planet. That's called the three-way split. And I believe we have that quote coming up. So then he's saying, wait a minute, okay, is there one kind of a harvest where the service to self or negative people go and that's all that happens? Or is there one where both happen at the same time? And they answer, there is only one. So this explains why there is an earth change and there is a jubilant ascension at the same time. There's only one harvest. Both things happen simultaneously. If you got bad karma and you need to go through a disaster, you're going to get to see it. I've had plenty of dreams. I've had probably 25 different dreams where I am inside a building and I feel or something like that, inside a building, and I feel the entire building literally pitch and roll and turn 9 degrees, and I'm feeling it plunge. It scares the crap out of me. I wake up. All right, I've had other dreams, including ones where I'm at my house, and I'm seeing massive, massive tsunamis coming in, and I know this is the ascension, and I'm just, yeah! As the water's about to hit me, freaking wipe me out. There was even one dream, I swear to God, where I had a surfboard and I surfed on top of the tsunami. I've had so many volcano dreams. I had this crazy dream one time, just one example of many, where Stonehenge was right outside my house. And these UFOs show up around Stonehenge, and they represented the 4 beasts of the apocalypse. There was the man, the eagle, the lion, I forget what the other one is. But these astrological images are in the sky, burning in the sky. There's beams going down into Stonehenge, and Stonehenge is going like this. There's this freaking vortex in there. And I am in the house with the people I was living with at the time, and I'm saying, we need to run over there right now. This is it. This is the ascension. We need to get to that vortex. And the ground is going like this, and literally the house splits in half, and there's freaking lava coming up. And I'm like, I don't know if we're going to make it to that vortex in time. So I've had enough of these dreams now over years and years and years that the beings obviously were telling me, we want you to teach this. Well, it's kind of fear porn. I mean, it's like, I'm not out here wanting to tell you, yeah, the earth is going to go through this. But yet, it's what the directive is. It's what the orders are, if you will. And so I had to, it took me years of kind of knowing that all this stuff was going on, and I talked to insiders about it, but I didn't want to go public with it, and I'm like, earth changes are so, it's just a bummer, man. You know, and the problem is, right, people will look at this stuff, and then they'll just focus on the disaster, but then they don't have the greater context of beliefs to support the positive aspect of where this takes us. Oh, man, David said there's going to be tsunamis. That's it, we're all gone. No. We're already evolving. Our DNA is already changing. And there's also events like the Tibetan rainbow body activation, where these guys meditate on primordial empty awareness. They turn into light. So you see, I am preparing you for this process. This talk is called Preparing for Ascension. And I'm preparing your mind with the thought forms that you need. This is really the crown jewel. You guys are all students of my work. Almost everybody raise your hand. You've been watching the show. You've been reading the books. Did I ever really put it all together like this before? No. Because now is the time. You need to hear this. Okay? Oh, they're gone, dude. They're toast. Crispy critters, hash browns. No, look, everybody gets where they need to go, okay? Nobody is going through the disaster unless they have authorized it. And very, very few people will ever see the negative changes. I just did the mouth smack. Getting tired. Yeah, more water. That'll help. The animals are fine. Noah's Ark is a spaceship, and they have these gigantic motherships, and they pull out anything that's innocent so it doesn't go through this. They have enough technology to get every single thing. Dog's fine. Unless he pees on my leg, in which case I'm not going to be too happy. Or humps my leg, which is even worse. Then as we enter, this is the three-way split. Look at this. Then as we enter the fourth density, there will be a split. Part of the individuals will go into fourth density, will go to planets or places where there is service to others, and the other part will go where there is service to self. Is this correct? And the answer is yes. So both things happen at the same time. The negative harmony, 6629. The negative harvest is one of intense disharmony. And the planet will express this. That's the earth change. That's the pole shift. It's very, very, very upsetting because the people who earn that karma need to go through that. But remember, they said there's only one harvest. So both things happen at the same time. The vibrations from third to fourth density change on a negatively oriented planet precisely as they do on a positively oriented planet. People get where they need to go. There's only one harvest. With fourth density negative also comes many abilities and possibilities of which you're familiar. So they develop telepathic ability, telekinesis, that kind of stuff does happen to them, even though they're negative. And that's the problem that we have with the Draco. The Draco are fourth density. Fourth density negative. The fourth density is more dense, and it is far more difficult to hide the true vibrations of your mind-body-spirit complex, which is your body, mind, and spirit. This enables fourth density negatives like the Draco to form social memory complexes, which is their confederation, this Draco Alliance, or what they call in the Law of One, the Orion Group, to form social memory complexes, as well as positives. It enables negatively oriented entities the opportunity for a different set of parameters in which they can show their power over others and can be of service to self. Now look at this. Well, they say the conditions are the same as far as vibrations are concerned. This is the next one. As fourth density occurs, there is a new planet and a new physical vehicle, a body, that gradually expresses itself. And the parameters of bellicose, that means evil actions, become those of thought rather than manifested weapons. Whoa. So one of the things that I'm telling you right now is that you are probably going to be part of this planetary defense force as we go through this change. If you guys are early ascenders, and I hope you are, because I'm trying to prepare you for that, then there is going to be battles that have to be fought to clean out the last of the negative entities from the earth. But we're going to be doing it with ascended powers. So, like, if you can imagine some of the greatest movie scenes that you've witnessed, where people are using telekinesis and they're levitating huge objects and there's beams of light, that's the kind of stuff we're talking about. It's a new... So the negative does this as well as the positive. It's a thought battle, because we're now operating in an ascended capacity where we have all the abilities like Jesus. So a whole new planet and a whole new body. Now, at the present, we have in third density those 3D entities who have been here for some number of incarnations who will graduate in the three-way split. Now, he's referring to something they'd already said before, so that's not new. This is either positive remaining for 4D on Earth, negative going to another planet, and the rest of the people who are still 3D going to another 3D planet. So he's summarizing what they said. In addition to these entities, I'm assuming we have some who are harvested from other 3D planets who've come here and incarnated in third density to make the transition with the planet, plus wanderers, which are angelic souls. So then he's saying, okay, is this correct? Is there a three-way split, and are there angelic souls here? And they say, this is correct, except we may note a small point. The positively oriented, harvested entities, meaning the people who actually ascend, will remain in this planetary influence, but not upon this plane. Whoa. What the heck does that mean? That means that the Earth has a new plane of existence, a new body that is activated, a fourth dimensional body. Now, check this out. He's kind of worried about this whole, like, the ascension component and then the Earth change component. He's like, wow, catastrophe? What's up with that? Then they say, look, it's misleading to speak of gains and losses when you're dealing with the subject of a cycle ending and the new fourth dimensional energy beginning on your planet. You don't want to think about it as things being lost. It's best to be kept in the forefront of your faculties of intelligence, and you know that means they're really serious because it's all wordy, that there is one creation in which there is no loss. So they don't want you to think that anything is lost. This is a birth. This is a transfiguration, a very positive new change. There are progressive cycles for entities to use for their own experience. And if you don't get it now, you can get it later. But as you learn all this, I think that all this will help you to take this a lot more seriously so that you realize, hey, look, whatever stuff you're going through in your life, it's all building up to some very, very significant thing. And I think I've done about as well as I can do right now in getting the word out, because our show is more popular than CNN. Thank you. So it's getting out there. The message is getting out there, which is pretty awesome. I'm probably going to have 3 New York Times bestsellers by the time this new book comes out. That's awesome, too. Nobody else has got that. Thank you. All right. Now, this is pretty wild. Check this out. As the green ray cycle, or the density of love and understanding, begins to take shape, the yellow ray plane, which means 3D Earth, which you now enjoy in your dance, because they say it's an illusion, a dance through an illusion. It's not really real, because remember, the only thing that really exists is what? The photon, the geometry, which is love, love light. But yeah, you're basically correct. It's just, let's get a little more technical. The Earth will cease to be inhabited for some period of your space-time, as the space-time necessary for 4D entities to learn how to shield themselves from 3D has to be learned. Isn't that interesting? 4D is so similar to 3D that until they learn a meditative technique that can cloak them, they cannot be invisible. So they require an advancement in their level of ascension, their level of consciousness, to be able to hide, to be able to become invisible from 3D. So that means that the physical 3D Earth has to be cleared out. And that's because the Earth is settling down from a big catastrophe. But this other plane of existence is going to be where people are, and then everybody else goes on a mothership to another planet. Boy, this all just sounds so freaking crazy. This is my job, dude. I'm supposed to be teaching you all this stuff. I don't know why, but it's true. That's the thing. This is all actually going to happen. It's really, really bizarre. After this period, there will come a time when third density will again be able to cycle on your planet, which means everything settles down, the dust settles, this kind of the clouds around the planet that make the equivalent of like a nuclear winter kind of thing goes away, the sun comes back, the rain starts to fall, plants start to grow, everything comes back, and then you can have people live on the Earth in 3D again. But you got to leave some time for the ascended people to be able to cloak themselves, and then they move to the inner Earth. That's what ends up happening when people go back to the surface in 3D. And that's where those ascended beings are right now that we talked about in the Inner Earth talk with Corey. And again, they're going to say this at the end, but I'll remind you, if you want to reference back any of the things that I've been telling you about, all the DVDs of every talk are here, and they're not that expensive. So you can catch all of this stuff. And it all fits together. Meanwhile, there is another sphere congruent to a great extent with yellow ray forming. The fourth density sphere coexists with first, second, and third. It is denser due to the rotational core atomic aspects of its material. So what they're saying is a new Earth, a new type of energy that actually forms. Very, very interesting. We have discussed this subject with you. The fourth density entities which incarnate at this space-time are fourth density in the view of experience, but are incarnating in less dense vehicles, that means bodies, due to desire to experience and aid the birth of fourth density upon this plane. You may have noticed that fourth density entities have a great abundance of compassion. I would like to make a point clear now that I am sure of myself. People of this planet following any religion or no religion at all, or having no intellectual knowledge of the law of one or anything at all, can still make it into fourth density if they are of a loving vibration, the 4D vibration. Is that not correct? So you don't have to be religious. And they said, yes, this is correct. So it's not, oh, the second coming of Christ, the rapture, and people fly into the air like kites. There they go. Look at them. Bye-bye. Oh, shit. Look at what's happening now. Only our cult, only our group. There's 38,830 different denominations of Christianity. Which one is rapturing? It's probably more than one, but not everybody. If your religion teaches you that you're better than other people and you're elite, then not going to make it. Okay, check this out. However, you will find few who are ready for ascension whose level of radiance does not cause others to be aware of their what you may call spirituality. Now that should really sink in. That's something I really want you to think about. If somebody is going to ascend, they will be considered, as they say right here, an unusually radiant personality. That the people who know the person who is going to ascend will say, wow, he is so spiritual. She is so spiritual. She's so wise. He's so intelligent. He's so amazing. Oh, obviously, somebody we're talking about. I don't know. I'm just kidding. There's lots of people who have a spiritual vibration. You have a spiritual vibration. That's why you're here. You're part of this change. You're part of this awakening. You're part of this unfolding process. Why is it that out of a conference with 3,000 people, the folks who really get it, number in this room, it looks like maybe about 100 out of 3,000, right? Well, the Lord will separate the sheep from the goats. It's pretty obvious to me. Every one of you who's been studying, you know you're going to get the bomb-ass talk if you go to the David Wilcock Monday night. That's where you really get the magic. It all comes together. Now, let's go on. In other words, there will be fewer negative entities going to 4D than positive. Is this correct? And they do say yes. This is correct. The great majority of your people will repeat third density. Wow. There it is. And the bottom line is, if you're going to ascend, you will be known as an unusually spiritual and radiant person. You will be a joy to the people who see you. They will look up to you. They will be inspired by you. They will feel good about you. If you want to prepare yourself for ascension, and you're a drainbow, you might want to look at that a little bit if you believe any of this crap that I'm saying. Which means you're crazy, but so am I, and we're going to be proven right anyway, so forget about it. Now, look at this. This is their kind of political wording where they say, yeah, the harvest has some inconvenience. Yeah, okay. I'll grok that. What is the position of the planet with respect to the cycles? Your planet is in 4D vibration, but its material is quite confused due to society memory complexes embedded in its consciousness. This is all these backwards religions they're talking about. It has not made an easy transition to the new vibrations which beckon, which again tilt the axis 20 degrees. Therefore, your change will be fetched with some well, inconvenience, yeah. Yeah, it's not going to be that great. But whatever. We don't care. We're not concerned. It's very, very, very trivial. Dude, freaking pole shift is not trivial, okay? It's kind of a big deal. Inverted commas. Is this inconvenience imminent within a few years? This inconvenience or disharmonious vibratory complex has begun several of your years in the past. It shall continue unabated for a period of approximately 30 of your years. Add 30 to when this was done, 1981, you get 2011. They never mentioned the Mayan calendar end date. They never mentioned the year 2012, but they were 1 year off with this approximately 30-year period, so it could be approximately 31. And they also say in another reading that after this change happens, right at that point, there's no more earth changes. The earth does its thing, and then everything settles back down, so everybody's fine. Now, look at this. After this period of 30 years, I am assuming that we have become a fourth density planet fully activated. Is this correct? Yes. Is it possible to estimate what % of our population will inhabit our new planet? It hasn't happened yet, thus estimation is meaningless. That's a very politically correct answer. But the deeper answer was the great majority of your peoples will repeat third density. And our plan is very backwards, and all of you are here to help that change. That's why you know all this stuff. You're not just here to go to a conference and hear me talk. You're here to learn this because you will become the teachers of teachers. When this ascension happens, a lot of people are going to be struggling to understand what just happened to them. You don't just immediately become ascended. If you're one of the people who actually goes through this, it's the equivalent of being in a psychedelic trip, except it never stops. Wow! In fact, we already know that there are these Draco tankers that are cloaked and orbiting in low Earth orbit. This is something we heard from one of our new insiders. Not supposed to say who it is. But anyway, and Corey Good confirmed it. There's these Draco tankers that are cloaked and orbiting in our low Earth atmosphere, and they are deliberately stopping the ascension. They are holding back the energy, and they're authorized to do this. But our government right now, the secret government, has the technology to shoot these tankers down. And there's a big, big debate going on about whether they should do that or not. Because as soon as they shoot the tankers down, they can't shoot them down a little at a time. They're going to all turn off. It's going to knock the whole thing down. Immediately when that happens, we all get zapped with this fourth density energy, and everybody goes through the equivalent of an activation of consciousness. If you're a negatively oriented person, you start to freak out. Some of the negatively oriented people that have been zapped with this energy in laboratories by this secret space program, they start to freak out, they start to scream, they start to try to create violence. But the people who are of a positive orientation, they bliss out, they meditate, they have very positive experiences happen to them. So that's the difference. So I don't know about you, but I say, look, if you throw up, you'll feel better. Shoot the fucking tankers down. A lot of F-bombs today. My goodness, it's been a long week. I just want to get on with it. Let's just get on with this thing. Shoot them down. Because our planet is not ready for the change, and we're not ready for those fourth dimensional energies, which would have been coming in over hundreds and hundreds of years. So we're only getting a little bit of a spillover in the DNA changes, but we're not getting anywhere near the type of consciousness shift that would have happened if it wasn't for these Draco trying to create their prison planet here. So the Draco have been authorized to let this happen because of so many forms of consent that we've given over thousands of years, where they've told us who they are, they've showed us their satanic symbols, and we don't stand up to them and we don't stop them. So once we take our power back, that's when we catapult into this new energy and we get our light body activation. So we don't exactly know when this is going to happen. In the Law of One, they talk about that it cannot exactly be predicted. But part of it might involve the moment that they shoot down these tankers. And then the consciousness on Earth changes, and as we change, our energy actually activates that sun to do its solar flash. It's all interconnected. This is all the stuff that I've learned in just the last, 6 months, actually. So, am I correct in assuming that the basic vibration that makes our physical world changes and makes a whole new type of being? And they say yes. So that is the light body activation. Am I to understand that the harvest will occur in the year 2011? Or will it be spread out? They say this is an approximation. We have stated we have difficulty with your time space. Now, this is shameless self-promotion, but hey, you're already here. In the end of the Ascension Mysteries, I show an amazing time loop that hit me in Canada last September, in which the beings guided me to go back and read May 2000 in my transcripts. And then it turns out that as I'm reading May 2000, there are very specific phrases that told me that they knew I was going to be in Banff in Canada. They gave the name of the president of Canada who actually created Banff. They give the name of the type of purple granite that the Banff Mountains are made out of, porphyry. And there was literally 25 other things. Like I'm having frickin' chia seed oatmeal, and then I go in and read, which I don't usually have except when I'm in Canada, and I go in and read it, and there's the chia seed oatmeal in the frickin' time loop. It's like somebody sitting there with a notebook, writing down the things that I'm doing, and then making me have dreams about it 16 years ago. Or in that case, it was 15 years. What happened to the slides? Whoa. Boom. Okay, it's back. So in this time loop, they totally acknowledged that they knew where I was in the time and the year that I was in. And then they say that it's only a couple of years away. The few years, they use the term a few. So I think because we are literally the cosmic equivalent of the blue bus. Our ascension is not going very well. I got the blue thermos. And I had the distinct pleasure of inhaling that drink as well as swallowing it. We're the cosmic blue bus. So they had to give us an extension. How did they do that? Gigantic spheres that are as big as Neptune, Jupiter, and the moon in some cases. These gigantic spheres are here to hold back the big solar flash until the right moment that is perfect for everyone. That appears to, and that's what these beings told Corey. So I got to say, And it only really kind of dawns on me when I'm doing a live event like this, how freaking strange it is that I dedicated my life to studying this material and essentially trying to live my life like a priest, which I have not succeeded at all. That's one of the things I got dissed by the beings, and they said, if you want to be a priest, David, you need to start acting like it. Well, I've dropped the F-bomb at least 7 times in front of a live audience, so I got a ways to go. But you notice I'm not making dick jokes, so I've at least gotten that far. You got to run before you can fly. You got to rub it a little bit. No. Now we're going to do that. I was good. Oh, man. It's getting late. Okay. So they say it's an approximation. So this time loop basically says to me that it's about another few years, which I see that in 2015. Corey's people say it's definitely happening in 2018. What's 3 years plus 2015? 2018. So it looks like we have a little more time to prepare for this. The cabal is going to be taken down. We're going to see mass arrests. Consciousness is going to start changing from that. Yeah. And our consciousness change will also, as our consciousness changes and people go through this uncomfortable procedure of learning what the cabal really is, at some point they're going to have to shoot down these Draco tankers that are holding us under mind control, which I did not know about, but it totally makes sense that the Draco would make a technology like that. They don't want us to ascend, because as soon as they do, they lose the slaves. They don't want to lose the slaves, but they're going to have to. So it looks like 2018 could be it, but again, nobody really knows. It could be before then, it could be after then. Now check this out. This time period around 2011, again, it looks like we got to bump it ahead by 6-7 years, 2018, thereabouts, is an appropriate, probable, possible time-space nexus for harvest. Look at that. If you have a loved one who recently passed over or someone that passed over a few years ago, those who are not incarnate in physical bodies will be included. It doesn't matter whether you're alive or whether you've passed into the afterlife. If you're ascension compatible, you will ascend when this happens. It affects the ghost planes as well as the physical planes. Everybody goes through this. Now, this is really weird. They say, in our culture, there is a saying that Jesus will return. Have you guys actually planned something like that to happen? They say, I will attempt to sort this out. It is difficult, to say the least. This entity Jesus became aware that it was not an entity in and of itself, but that it operated as a messenger of the one infinite creator whom the entity saw as love. Now, if you want the money shot, if you want the theme statement of preparing for ascension, that's it. What did I say the Tibetan ascension teachings, the rainbow body teachings teach you? You're not an entity. You're not an individual body. You are primordial awareness. You're empty awareness. Once you recognize that you are that awareness, you recognize also that you are still in an illusion. You're still in the illusion of having a body, in the illusion of being here on earth. That's where you want to become a messenger. So the messenger part is so key, because Jesus basically, in their terms, was intended to tell us what we need to do to ascend. So you want to help other people. You want to try to share this with them. But again, for God's sake, follow the rule of 10%. If you go up to somebody and go onto a narcissistic monologue and bombard them with 25 minutes of David Wilcock propaganda without ever taking a breath, they're not going to listen. Give people 10%, tell them one interesting thing that you know, and then just stop talking and let them respond. And then when they respond, they say, wow, that's interesting, because I've thought about ETs before, and we can't be alone in the universe, of course. There's got to be people out there. Yeah, right. And then you feed them another piece of information. They think of something else. There was a really cool time when I was in Canada. And I was up there at Moraine Lake, and I'm looking out over this gorgeous mountain view, and there were some hikers that came up, and they were very mainstream people. And I did this 10%, 10%, 10% thing, just gave them little bits. And they kept coming back, and within about 40 minutes, I had basically told them everything that I'm telling you in a shortened, distorted, it wasn't totally like all this, but a condensed kind of souped up form. Basically was able to tell them everything. You just got to do it a little at a time. So what did Jesus do? He spoke in parables. If you don't want to understand it, you're not going to understand it. It's all cloaked in metaphor. So Jesus was aware that the earth was in the last portion of its cycle, and he said that those of his level of consciousness would return at the harvest. Well, I don't know about you, but it certainly looks like these sphere beings are at that level of consciousness. They're expecting Corey and me to uphold spiritual teachings. They're telling me, if you want to be a priest, you need to act like it. Okay, so that means no more dick jokes and no more F-bombs. So I'm kind of like putting that to bed now, burying that part of myself benevolently, but apparently it didn't work, so I don't know. And so those of its consciousness would return. The particular mind-body-spirit complex you call Jesus is not going to return except as a member of the Confederation, occasionally speaking through the form of channeling. And they have to do it this way because it would create too much controversy. Everybody's going to disagree about who this guy is, right? If Jesus were to just embody, everybody's going to, all the fundamentalist Christian networks like the PTL Club, right, and the TBN, they've got a whole studio with the camera running and the lights already on, with the chair for Jesus to sit in when he has his second coming so they can put him on their Christian network, because of course they're right. You have 38,830 sects of Christianity, many of whom disagree with each other and think only their people are going to ascend. Do you think the beings could give us a manifestation of a Christ apparition? Say, guess what, everybody, I'm back. No, they're telling you very clearly in the Law of One, that's not going to happen. However, there are others of identical congruency of consciousness that will welcome those to fourth density. This is the meaning of the returning. Well, guess what? If we're in an identical congruency of consciousness for fourth density, what did the people in the inner earth tell Corey they were? Fourth density. So those people in the inner earth are already at that Christ vibration, the positive ones. They're some of the people that have been giving us messages, talking to us about their civilizations. We did a whole thing on the inner earth that I was really blown away how much we got through in 2 hours. Now, when graduation occurs at the end of a cycle and entities move from one planet to another, by what means do they go to a new planet? And this gets really weird syntax. In the scheme of the Creator, the first step of the mind-body-spirit totality beingness, and that means the total mind of the whole earth, all the people as one, is to then place its mind-body-spirit complex distortion, meaning each individual person, in the proper location of love and light. So the planet makes the decision, and the inner earth people are what help. This is done to ensure proper healing of the complex, meaning the body, what we've gone through in multiple incarnations, and eventual attunement with the earth's total consciousness. This takes a very variable length of your time-space. After this is accomplished, the experience of the cycle is dissolved and filtered until only your purest vibrational form remains. At this time, the harvested mind-body-spirit totality beingness, meaning the Earth's whole consciousness, evaluates the needs of its beingness, the density needs, and chooses the most appropriate new environment for people to either repeat the cycle or move forward and ascend. This is the manner of the harvesting. It is guarded and watched over by many, including the sphere beings, the inner earth beings. All those people are doing this. They're all helping us out with this. It's very, very big stuff. When the entity moves from one planet to another, is he moved in thought or by a vehicle? The mind, body, spirit, totality, beingness is one with the Creator. There is no time or space, just like that original particle that those scientists have now proved is the whole universe. Therefore, it is a matter of thinking the proper locus in the infinite array of time spaces. That's interesting. So because there's no real space, right, it's all just this one photon, you can think anywhere you want to go, and you teleport there, and you're done. So there's no spaceship required. At this particular nexus, the probability vortexes indicate somewhere between 100 to 700 of your years as a transitional period. Now, this is one of the big debates that we've always had with the law of one. And the people who follow this are called gradualists, because they say, oh, it's all gradual, nothing's going to happen. All of the other things that I said to you about a 20-degree pole shift that is complete as this change occurs roughly 30 years after 1981, I think this is actually talking about the amount of time that the Earth is disrupted before people could live on the surface without going into fourth density. That's what it appears to be. Just to clear that up. At some point in the future, the fourth density sphere will be fully activated. What is the difference between full activation and partial activation? At this time, the cosmic influxes are conducive to true color green particles being formed and material of this nature being formed, meaning a new reality made of new levels of matter, like that geometric phase shift I was telling you about. However, there is a mixture of yellow and green ray environments at this time, necessitating the birthing of transitional bodies. That's very interesting and very significant. We go through a transitional phase where we have transitional bodies. At full activation of the true color green density of love, the Earth will become solid and inhabitable upon its own, and the birthing that takes place will have been transformed through the process of time to the appropriate type of vehicle to appreciate in full the fourth density environment. So they're saying here that your bodies go through a gradual change to some degree. There's an evolutionary shift. So even once the flash happens, your body is going to continue evolving. It's not like you're already completely ascended as soon as it happens. That's interesting. You're going to grow into the ascension. So we go through the flash, and we get more activated as time goes on. I'm going to make a statement and have you correct me. As the spiraling action of our entire major galaxy and our planetary system spirals into its new position, fourth density vibrations become more and more pronounced. These atomic vibrations begin to create more and more completely a fourth density planet and fourth density bodies to live on that planet. Is this correct? They say this is partially correct. To be corrected is the concept of the creation of the new ascended green ray bodies. This creation will be gradual and will take place beginning with your third density type of body and through the means of sexual reproduction by evolution turn into fourth density bodies. That's very interesting. So we apparently will bring the third density body with us, and it will be activated as we go. And as we have children, those children are going to be increasingly more evolved. Just like I showed you, you zap the eggs and the organism changes. The influxes of true color green energy will more and more create the conditions in which the atomic structure of the cells of the body is that of love. It's pretty awesome. This transitional body will be able to appreciate fourth density vibrations as the instreaming increases without the disruption of the 3D body. If a third density entity was electrically aware of 4D in full, the third density electrical fields would fail due to incompatibility. That means your body just vaporizes. So the 4D blast, if you didn't go through this transitional phase, you have to either ascend or you just get toasted, and that's why they have to take people away, because if you get hit with this thing and you're not ready for it, you just turn into hash browns, basically. This is wild stuff, huh? We're almost done. Such entities, to some extent, consciously are aware of fourth density understandings, which third density cannot remember because they have forgotten. Thus, the fourth density experience may be begun with the added attraction for an entity oriented towards service to others of dwelling in a troubled third density environment and offering love and compassion. So it appears that that's happening now, and that people with these, psychic abilities and so forth, that we are being activated within our own bodies to help others, and we're going through a transitional phase. Our skulls are getting larger, our DNA is changing. That's all part of this gradual ascension which they're describing. But they do also say there is a flash. Our solar system spirals into this new position in the galaxy. The sun goes off. These geometric energy patterns that everything is made from transform matter in an entirely new way, and we get catapulted into this entirely new reality. Whew, a lot of stuff, huh? Wow. So now what are we going to do? I want to have a meditation. I think that's a good way to end this thing. So let's have everybody put both feet flat on the floor. Everybody's fleeing, huh? Wow. They can't handle it. The sheep are being separated from the goats. I'm just joking. All right.